then after high school, as some things happened, I moved out the house, and I had a lot of I had a lot of pain. I had a lot of unexpressed things in me, and so when I had opportunity to get out of the state and work at an amusement park for 6 months, and I'll tell you more about that in another life page. It's coming up soon, but when I had the chance to get out of Detroit and be where I was for 6 months, it was eye opening. It was scary too because it had it. I had an exterior that I was carrying around. I had to, even though I was shy, I had the. I'm from Detroit. Exterior. I had this. I had to be tough. I had to be a certain person on the outside, and so when I went out of state and people were approaching me, hey, how you doing? I was like, hi. You know, it just kind of dropped down some walls, and it made me look at myself and said, I got some issues. I got some issues. And so I felt like God was telling me, yeah, you got some issues. You need to write them down. You need to get it out. And and so I went back to poetry, but I took a different approach towards it. I remember going to the local town library, and I remember just sitting there reading Meyer, reading Langston Hughes, reading Robert Frost, reading so many of the popular and not so popular poets, and I'm like, expression, kept bringing out expression, opinion, emotion, and I remember just being lit. Um, I left that library and I said, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna write poetry. Um, and I called them New Age compositions um, because that's what I felt they were, New Age compositions. They were expressions of mine, and yeah, it was poetry, but I called them New Age compositions. And so I said I was gonna do that, and where I was, this amusement park that I was, there's a beach that the lovers go to, or the freaks, whatever you want to say. But at nighttime, there was volleyball. Uh, for a certain time period, there was, played nighttime volleyball. There was, like I said, the lovers and the freaks doing their thing. It was dark and you heard them, but you didn't see them. You know what I mean? Anyway, I would just go on the beach at night, see the seagulls, and that like opened up something for me because I was in a place where I didn't have to have a guard, and I was feeling a lot of things. And when I would go to that beach at night, I would take a pen and pencil, and I would be basically writing. And I might as well have been blind because I was writing in the dark. I couldn't see what I was writing, but I would just write, and I would just write, and write. And I remember sometimes falling asleep on the beach and waking up, and just enough time to get to work and wash up and things like that. And I remember after work just going through all these papers, kind of deciphering what, okay, that's a D, yeah, that's an E. Sorting it all out, getting all of it out, and forming it. And I remember we got something here. We got something here that. But I remember that it wasn't about. That's a lot of people say, "Oh, you write poetry, so it's about love." I'm like, no, it was about discovery. Discovering myself and venting, getting stuff out. Because when I went to the library that Saturday, spending spending those Saturdays at the library, that's what I saw. I saw that expression and emotion, and yeah, I saw the the love, but it wasn't about that for me. It was about really just getting it out, getting what I was going through out, what I was feeling out. And that's what I did that whole time there. I wrote and wrote and wrote. And uh, realizing that I had something, I said, I'm getting it out. And I keep it to myself. And I remember at the time and going through things there at the amusement park, I got my first official girlfriend. And I remember sharing what I wrote to her, and that I'm like paralyzed, y'all. I'm like, it's like taking your heart and just giving it to someone else, and so I shared those with her, and I remember her just being very quiet, and I'm like inside, I'm tearing my face, but I remember she broke down in tears. She broke down in tears, and I was afraid. I was like, what's wrong? And she felt what I was saying. She was hearing what I was saying, and she expressed that, and that's when I knew. I was like, I got to keep doing this, because I know that I'm not alone in what I'm feeling and what I'm sharing. There's others I can connect to, and there's others I can relate to that can relate to me in the same sense. So that's what kicked off the poetry part of it, and I kept writing journals. I mean, guys, I kept writing and writing and writing. I and this is the obsessive part about it, because I thought that I was going crazy, because I have books and books of poetry, and I mean, one may be 15 poems, one may be 7, one may be 90, one may be 120. I'm serious. That's how much I kept writing, and it was to even one point that all through my job career, all through my jobs, whether it was at a car wash, whether it was at a fast food, whether it was at a factory, I wrote and wrote and wrote. And if I didn't have a pen and pad, I had napkins, I had toilet paper, I had receipt paper, anything I can get my hands on paper, and a pen to write. When a thought came, I wrote it down. And that was the obsession part of it, because I would be even working at the car wash, and I'd be in a corner, knelt down, writing stuff, and most of the fellas there, they would look at me like I was crazy. Like, what are you doing? Are you writing down what we're saying? I'm like, I'm not even hearing what you're saying. I got a thought. I got to write it down. And I mean, back then, when I was doing that, to express that to another guy, to express that to another dude was weird. You know, express your feelings and your here. You know, you know. That was weird. That was kind of soft looked at, at that time. And, but we all were going through it. We all were feeling things. And I wrote it down. And so, I call that the obsessive part of the career. But then, even, I had a friend at the amusement park that, working there, it was a lot. You didn't hear your music, Dirty Dancing was really big that time, and so that's all you heard during the whole summer working on the radio at work is Dirty Dancing soundtrack. So my friend would basically revamp the song and rewrite the lyrics, and She's Like the Wind, he turned that into She Just Broke Wind, and we were cracking up. We would start making up stuff. And so, kind of like the songwriting came in, where songs that annoyed me, the songs I just wanted to add a little edge to or make funny, I rewrote it, and I learned that from him, just the humor of that, and so that came into play as well. But coming back to Detroit, um, kind of getting back into the things. Now here I was back in the city, um, back into some situations I didn't want to be in, back into some jobs I didn't want to be in, trying to figure out my work path, work, my JOB path, and so all during that time I'm writing, writing, and guys, I tell you, that was you know, I didn't really step out and go for it the way I wanted to with it until later, and then some other things came up until I really decided to go to college for writing and taking that path, but trying to stick with the path here. But okay, came back to Detroit, and like I said, just a lot of things, situations I didn't want to be in, things I had to do that I didn't want to do. But the thing I appreciate is that I was still writing, and I totally grateful to God for that, just to keep writing. And I'm trying not to make this too long, guys, but it's going to be a little bit long, sorry. But anyway, so even at the car wash, I have to say this, and thank you, Linda. But one of our co-workers there, she just noticed it, and she like got me a journal, actual journal with a sunset, sunrise on it, beautiful pictures. But I remember her doing that for me while the guys was looking at me like I was crazy. So thank you, Linda, for that. But it's always been that, guys. It's always been that, and the reason I'm sharing this, and it's ongoing, so I can't really. When I look back at it, it's really a joy to know that that was something that I could release. The pain I was feeling, um, the awkwardness, whatever I was feeling at the time, what I was going through, I could write it down, and I I learned how to share it, not just with that girlfriend at the time, but I started sharing it because I knew that other people were feeling the same thing, or they could definitely relate, and we can talk. It opened up conversation. It opened up it opened up my heart to explore other areas and learn other things that I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't get out previous junk and talk about present things, because you don't always have a therapist at your disposal. You don't always have a best friend that you can talk to. Sometimes you have those quiet moments where it's just you and God, and you're allowed to write it down. So, and I wanted to just share that, because looking back on it, because a lot of you have talents and beautiful gifts that you're just sitting on. You're playing with it at one time and loving it, loving when you're doing it, hating what you have to do, but loving when you get those moments to do what you do, whether it's, you could be a baker, artist, draw. I've seen a lot of talented people working a job, and their time is cut short, and it's frustrating because they're not doing the thing they love to do. And guys, even if it's part-time, that you can do what you love to do, it could turn into a full-time thing. You never know. Me doing this channel is part-time. I do it when I can. You see me out here, in the van. It's rainy. I do my videos where I can, but I gotta get out. And I'm sharing this because a lot of you are very talented, and we gotta get the gifts that God has given us out. We gotta put it out there. We got